Good evening, everybody. Whoa, that's working well. My name is Robin Voss. I'm the Speaker of the Wisconsin State Assembly, and you are in Chocolate City, USA, Burlington, Wisconsin. Let me start by doing a couple quick introductions. Joining me here today is our state senator for this district, my friend Van Wangard. Give him a round of applause. Also serving Racine County, we have my colleague and also friend, Tom Weatherson. Let's give him a round of applause. And most importantly, we have a fantastic group of grassroots Republicans who understand exactly what's at stake in this election, right? We also have in the very back of the room one of my other colleagues who is joining us, not from Racine County, but Ken Skoronsky, who is here. Let's give him a round of applause. So as the Speaker of the Assembly, there are two groups of people that I have to keep happy. My own constituents, who I love most dearly, but the 62 other Republicans that elect me Speaker. So I have to always make sure I introduce them. Importantly, yes, your job's harder than mine. So my pleasure to make sure that we are here today for a really exciting event, and my job is to introduce somebody that every single person in this room already knows because he is our congressman. Paul Ryan, elected to Congress in 1998. All of us knew when we helped on his first campaign that he had a really bright future, because we want Republicans from Wisconsin who offer ideas, conservative solutions, reform government, and show what it means to be a hard-working, conservative Republican who has ideas. And we know exactly what Paul Ryan stands for. We know that ever since he has been elected, not only is he bright and articulate, but he is a force to be reckoned with in the policy debate about why Republicans and the beliefs that we hold so dear are the way that the entire country should be moving. Amen. That's right. Congressman Ryan, our friend, no doubt about it, made the decision to become Speaker. It was a little easier for me than it was for him. He had to really be convinced that he could lead in a way that would make America proud. And I will tell you, there is nobody in the world that I can think of who would do a better job, not only leading the Congress, but being a shining star in the Republican Party than our own Congressman Paul Ryan. So let's give him a welcome round of applause. All right, hey, wow.
We've got a big project. We've got a big project because this man, Ron Johnson, he has earned our support. Ron Johnson, I'm going to tell you, what we are focusing on, and one of the things that Robin talked about, which, as you know, I took a job I wasn't really planning on taking, and I took it on a couple of conditions. And one of those conditions was that we as a party actually stand for our principles and show what they look like in practice. That we as a party aren't just an opposition party, but a proposition party, the alternative party. That we go to the country and show what conservative principles, when applied to the problems of the day, what those solutions look like. We run on those solutions, which is what we're in the middle of doing, so that we can win a mandate from the country, get permission, just like these men and women in Madison did, so that we can get this country back on track. You know, one of the people who animated this idea, who crystallized it in my mind, it was an op-ed I read in the Wall Street Journal, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, by Ron Johnson, America's Choice. You remember that? This is where we are going. And we have to see Ron Johnson reelected.
Absolutely.
Because the stakes couldn't be higher. Not just one Supreme Court justice, but maybe 3. That will determine whether or not this is a constitution that is kept for a generation or not. We have a majority in the House, and we want to send good conservative legislation like we always do, but we need it to be able to go to the Senate. We need people who want to receive that legislation and move that legislation. We need to keep the majority in the Senate. More importantly, when you think about the person that you want representing you in government, in Congress, in the Senate, you want somebody who believes what you believe, who acts on those beliefs, but who's an effective conservative, who's effective at actually carrying them on. It's one thing to say good things. It's one thing to say conservative things. It's one thing to, yell at the TV or the radio, but to actually be a conservative and then to do the hard work of negotiating, of cajoling, of getting people to agree to your point of view and to get it done and to pass it and see it happen. That takes a special kind of person. That takes a special kind of perseverance. And so the kind of person you want to see is the kind of person we have right here. A true citizen legislator who got upset with the direction of government in 2010, who had a great life, successful business, hiring lots of people, doing really well, and you want to take those skills that he honed as a successful business person, as an accountant, and take it and put it to the service of the country he loves and he loves dearly. And then take those skills that he succeeded as a business person and apply them to governing so that he can actually advance the principles, not just tout the principles, but advance those principles. That's what Ron Johnson is. And that is why Ron Johnson earns our support. And that is why our project here in Wisconsin is and must be and will be the successful re-election of our great Senator Ron Johnson. Join me in welcoming our Senator Ron Johnson.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you all. It's great to see such a good-sized crowd and all your support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Robin, thank you. Thank you for the leadership you've shown in the state of Wisconsin, putting Wisconsin on the right path. And Paul, I can't say enough good things about Paul Ryan. Certainly what I'm looking for in somebody to represent me. A person of integrity, intelligence, ideas, and courage. You mentioned my op-ed. I remember something called, what was that, the Roadmap for America? How many co-sponsors did you have on that one? 8. 8 co-sponsors because Paul Ryan is a leader and he shows courage. And that's what we need at this moment in time in our history. This week we start out my formal campaign for re-election to the United States Senate. Now, when I ran in 2010, I ran because I was panicked for this country. I made 2 basic promises to the citizens of Wisconsin. I'll always tell you the truth, and I'll never vote with my re-election mind. I've honored those promises, but I have to admit, that second promise is pretty easy to make. Because honestly, I never really thought I'd be running again. My faulty assumption was I never thought President Obama had a chance of getting reelected. Obamacare, deficits over $1 trillion as far as the eye could see. I think America's jaw had dropped collectively. Our jaws have dropped when we saw this massive government takeover of our lives, its control and its intrusion into our lives. And so my game plan was spend 2 years, get up to speed, try and get some level of comprehensive over this massive beast they call the federal government, and then work with a serious president and vice president. And let's face it, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan would have been that serious team. I'm not sure what made you decide to endorse Mitt before the Wisconsin primary. I know when I talked to Governor Romney prior to the Wisconsin primary, what made me decide to endorse him was when he was talking to me, he said, "Ron, I expect to be one-term president." I found that kind of surprising. He said, "I intend to fix these problems. It won't be fun, it won't be popular. These problems are serious. So those solutions won't be popular. Might prevent me from even getting reelected, but I am going to commit myself to solving these problems." Then when he picked Paul Ryan to be his running mate, again, another serious person of integrity, I knew he was committed to doing that. Unfortunately, though, America made the wrong choice. And now we've got another term of Barack Obama, and the problems have gone unaddressed, and they've become more serious. Now, we announced my campaign this Monday in Oshkosh on the plant floor of the business I helped build, happen. With a couple hundred supporters, people who helped me build the business. And you think about the contrast between myself and my opponent, Senator Feingold. You know, I waited, as I did in 2010. I didn't even decide to run the first time till right about now, 6 months before the election. I thought that, by the way, was more than enough time. I thought that was more than enough time to have an election for the United States Senate, to subject the good citizens of Wisconsin to that type of process. Do the same thing this time. But if you notice, Senator Feingold is so desperate to get back into Washington, become a U.S. Senator again. That's his main objection. He wants to be a U.S. Senator. He announced a year ago. But you compare his announcement to mine, I was surrounded by family, friends, co-workers. Senator Feingold phoned his announcement in. Did you realize he just videotaped an announcement? Senator just phoned it in. And by the way, he was all by himself. He was surrounded by no one, but I guess who would he surround himself with? Other California professors, because that's where he was. Trial lawyers, career politicians. Actually, it's kind of pathetic. Now, the difference is very clear. So I've got a 31-year background as a manufacturer. One of you folks, just working hard, trying to produce a good product, good service for the rest of our fellow citizens. Senator Feingold has spent the last 30 years as a career politician. I actually know how to build a business. I understand how to achieve economic growth. Senator Feingold only knows how to grow government. And of course, he's one of those 60 deciding votes on Obamacare. But you realize it didn't go far enough for Senator Feingold. He wanted a single-payer system. And of course, now because of the tragedies at Toma, at that VA healthcare center, and other places around the country, we know what a single-payer, government-run, bureaucratic healthcare system looks like. He wants that for all of America. I don't. That's a stark contrast. And also, I listened to Senator Feingold on Mike Boucher a couple months ago. He was answering a question about Obamacare and said, that health care bill, it's really not as bad as some people are pretending it to be. Now, on my tour through Wisconsin, we drove through Spooner, Wisconsin. I was reminded that Janice Fenneman, one of hundreds of Wisconsinites, had written me talking about the harm Senator Feingold's bill has done to them. Wrote to me that her premiums prior to Obamacare were $276 a month. Now they're $787 per month. The old Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act didn't exactly live up to its name, did it? It didn't protect the millions of Americans who have lost their health care, the thousands of Wisconsinites, and it's certainly not affordable, not for people like Janice Fenneman. So Senator Feingold, here's the truth. Janice Fenneman's a real person. She's being harmed by your law. She's not pretending. That's real harm by a real person. And that's something we need to understand. Another thing that Senator Feingold said when he was first running, back in 1992, he talked about economic growth, saying it was the number one thing he wanted to achieve. Actually, he said reducing the deficit was a top priority toward achieving economic growth. And yet, when he had a chance, when we actually had a balanced budget in the late 90s, do you realize Senator Feingold voted against a balanced budget amendment 4 times? Twice. He would have been the deciding vote. We could have sent that to the states. We could have put in that control that would have forced the career politicians to finally balance our budget. We would not be $19 trillion in debt today if Senator Feingold would have actually been the maverick, the independent, and actually lived up to his promises of dedicating himself to reducing the deficit. So again, the choice is very clear between myself and somebody who's doing this because I want to solve these problems, like Paul Ryan, like Mitt Romney, like Robin Boss have done. I'm not doing it because I want to be a senator. I'm doing it because I'm panicked for this nation. Our debt and deficit, the fact that ISIS is a real and growing threat, the fact that regulations are the silent killer to economic activity and productivity. Economic growth is the number one component of a solution. I know how to grow an economy. Senator Feingold doesn't have a clue. So rather than spend any more time talking about the problems facing this nation, let me tell you why, in the end, I'm willing to do this again. Even though, trust me, I miss my life. When Paul's talking about all those things in Oshkosh, I'm going, man, that sounds pretty good. Okay? But this is why I'm doing it. Oftentimes, I'll end a speech talking about the finest among us. The unique contact people like Paul and Rob and I have with the finest among us. Now, for example, at Walter Reed, where you go there and you see these kids with their limbs missing. I can never help but ask, what tour duty? It's always second, sir, third, sir, fourth, sir. They probably never wanted to go to Iraq or Afghanistan the first time, much less the second, third, or fourth, but they didn't quit. They didn't give up on America. Neither can I, neither can you. But I want to finish off this little talk with a different story. It really has to do with my chairmanship of the Homeland Security Government Affairs Committee. I was asked by Secretary Jay Johnson, who I think is a real patriot, a man of honor, trying to do his job to keep this nation safe. He asked me to accompany him to a 9/11 memorial service in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And there are two things that just made just a tremendous impression on me that I want to share with you today. The first was the day before that ceremony, they had just opened up the visitor center. In the visitor center, there was an exhibit, a row of telephone handsets. And a visitor would pick those up, pick up a handset, and he would start listening, he or she would start listening, and trust me, it's hard to listen to. 3 female passengers of United Flight 93 leaving a voicemail message to their loved ones. Now, other passengers, I guess you can say, were fortunate enough to get through to their loved ones. They knew what was happening. They knew what had happened in New York, the Twin Towers. They knew that their aircraft, their plane, had been turned into a weapon to be used against their fellow citizens. What was so extraordinary about listening to those voicemail messages is those 3 female passengers, they weren't conveying concern about themselves. They were conveying concern about their loved ones, about the grieving, the loss that they were going to be experiencing. That humanity they were exhibiting is inspiring. It makes you feel pretty good to be an American, realizing that's what our fellow citizens are like. The other thing is during the speeches, I was reminded, because we've all heard the iconic phrase, right? Let's roll. I mean, how much more American is that? Let's roll, let's roll. We got a job to do, let's do it. But what I was reminded of is just prior to Todd Beamer uttering those words, the passengers on United Flight 93 did something, again, they knew what was happening. I'm sure they had a discussion. I can't imagine they debated it. But then they did something quintessentially American. They took a vote. They took a vote. I like telling that story now because in November 2016, we're all going to be going to the polls. We're going to try and get our fellow citizens to go to the polls, recognizing the challenges, recognizing what's at stake. Now, our vote may not be life and death, like the passengers of United Flight 93, but boys, it's consequential. This is going to be a challenge in 2016 here in the state of Wisconsin. But I really do look at Wisconsin as being the firewall. Our 10 electoral votes in this Senate seat are crucial to saving. So we're going to need an all-out effort, and I think the attitude I want all of you to take into this election, understanding that what is at stake, understanding and knowing that 2,000 votes and a couple hanging chads decided an election in Florida. Norm Coleman won a Senate seat by 300 votes and then somehow lost it next door in Minnesota. So understanding what's at stake, understand how close these elections can be. I want everybody's attitude in terms of your own individual effort, your time, your talent, your treasure that you're going to contribute to this effort. Your individual effort could be the effort to save this country. If you take that attitude, you do the work, we all do the work. I'm going to work my tail off to do this. We all are. We will save this nation. So God bless your effort. God bless Wisconsin, and God bless America. Thank you all.